All right, well, welcome everybody to our second webinar with ResVR. I am Jennifer Cooper. I am a fractional CMO for the home building industry and fractional CMO to ResVR. I've been working with the team since the start of the year, and it's been a fabulous journey. Excited to be kicking off our second webinar. And I'd love to introduce my co-host, Nathan. Nathan, would you like to say hello to everyone and introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, Nathan Nasseri here, CEO and founder of ResVR. Excited to showcase what we got today.
All right, so if you haven't been following us on social media, Nathan has an amazingly fun personality. So follow us to learn more about him and more about ResVR. So today we are talking about the marketing shift. So how buyers are deciding in 2026 and beyond. We're going through so many changes in our industry and our economy. The housing industry is cyclical, so we're feeling a softer market. And so how do we respond to everything that is happening in our world? I think it's a great topic. Today, I'm hopefully going to make you think about how you're having conversations in the boardroom, how you're having conversations with your team, and how you are innovating your company for the future. So let's go ahead and jump into the topic. All right, we've already done those little fun intros. All right, so how do people buy? We're gonna talk about several key areas today. We're gonna talk about how buyers make decisions, like what is the decision process, why the traditional funnel is breaking and it's changed. I've talked about the funnel being a fly trap, and the flies kind of flying all over the place. We are kind of an ADD society with social and digital, and that funnel has changed. We're going to talk about where builders quietly are losing buyers. It's definitely happening, and what the best builders can do and are doing differently. So at the end of the day, I added this quote on the side: today's buyer isn't waiting for sales to educate them. They are absolutely educating themselves. Happening. So everything from, they're coming in from Google, from the builder's website, social, ChatGPT. We're going to talk about what our friend Chat is doing. Reviews, typical MLS, syndication listings, floor plans, competition, all of that good stuff. They're going through all of these different ways to understand who their options are, if they have the right product, did they catch your attention? And they're going through this cycle of all this information way before the sales appointment even happens. So by the time sales is entering the appointment, they're at confirmation. I already know enough about you. You're just there now to start to build some of that human trust. It's not about discovery. Tell me about you as a home builder. They're way past that.
So Jen, you're seeing that before, like, what are you seeing before, like, that consumers are doing before they even talk to the sales team?
Yeah, so we're seeing them engage with social media. We're seeing them engage on the website multiple times. In some instances, we're able to go through and actually see that the buyer is coming back to the website sometimes 20, 30 different times before they're converting to a lead. So we're seeing them just take their time. And in the soft market, we know they're taking their time. We're seeing across various resources that web traffic isn't down. Demand isn't dead. I keep telling my teams every day, demand is not dead. They're just waiting. They're holding their cards and they know exactly what their cards say, but they're waiting until they're ready. So we're just seeing them wait, but we're looking for the engagement. And as a marketer, I stay somewhat confident when I see that web traffic is there. I'm seeing that time is on site. And I'm like, man, the minute the economy changes, rates change, something changes a little bit more significantly, we are going to see that bump. So we've got to try all these different ways that we're going to talk about conversion that are going to be meaningful in the process. All right, so the numbers we can't ignore. These are super important to look at. 86, this is my data. I came up with this number looking across a lot of different builder dashboards. We're seeing up to 86 different digital touch points before a buyer decision. So when we're tracking a cookie and we're watching how someone's coming through off a display ad, off of social, back to the website, and they're going through that fly trap funnel that I like to call it, sometimes 86 times before they convert. So all of your digital, all of your media, all of your listings, all of your efforts, absolutely matter. So when you're reporting on everything that your marketing mix is doing, it's so important to know that all of those touch points matter. Now track them in their own vertical, track their performance, change up the messaging, keep it fresh, keep it relevant, but all of those touch points are really adding into what is that one thing that makes me not sit on my hands, but move forward. So that's a strong number to offer up as a marketer. When you're talking about what's moving the needle, maybe up to 86 touch points. It's not always that high, but that's a big one that stuck out for me. 0.5% of web visitors ever book an appointment. Yeah, hard truth. Right now, we just don't have a lot of movement. That's where it's at. And 80% of new home ultimately buying resale. So we think we have this huge pool. When you think about how many are actually buying new home construction, how many of them are actually moving, and how much it takes them to move, that's why our jobs as marketers are so important, to be intentful, to be data backed, and to really be looking at the shift and how the consumer's engaging with us. So nearly everyone starts online, we know that, but not everybody's converting in the same manner that we were. All right, so the AI adoption gap. I got some really good statistics in here for you guys to even think about, just to take these back and understand the playing field that we're at. And again, my quote on the side, universally marketing has gone AI native. When I say universally, I'm saying across industries, not just home building. Most builders are not there. The home building industry, we're slow, we're laggards, we know this. So I put that there to challenge us and to say, what can your home building enterprise do different to adopt AI? We're going to talk about that. Out of the percentages, 91% of marketing teams, holistically are using AI to some degree. This isn't just industry specific. 25% of residential builders are using it meaningfully in some degree. We're seeing some departments really start to play with it, specifically on the design side. And the number one builder AI use case is marketing and buyer communication. So we've heard of different OSC companions and sales companions and chat companions and things in the digital interface. That's where we're seeing builders test it and play with it. So why? Because it sometimes replaces a person and they're just trying to see if it can increase the speed of communication. I think that one has to be watched though, because we want to make sure we don't lose authenticity and that we are still following up with the human side of those AI conversations. So I thought those were interesting. Adoption is moving in one direction. So 82% of large builders are increasing their AI investment, but then they don't really know what to do with it. That's the other piece of it. So we're hearing that yes, we're getting a cloud account, or yes, we're trying to use it in purchasing or with spreadsheets and different things, but they're not really necessarily sure how they're going to add the governance. 90% of mid-sized firms are already implementing or exploring it, but where we're holding back is complexity, culture, and connection. It's not necessarily the cost. It's not expensive. Again, people aren't just saying, how do I want to use AI? It's how, just when you bring in a new role, you define the role. We don't just go hire someone, you want to come work for my company. We define the role. So we have to define AI's adoption to figure out how it completes the gap for us. Super, super important. All right, so the AI O shift. So instead of SEO, search engine optimization, how are we having AI optimization? AI is our new front door, absolutely. Buyers aren't just clicking, they're asking, and then they're acting on the answer, and AI is a big part of that answer. So 48% of Google searches now trigger an AI answer. 83% of those searches end with 0 clicks. This is important, and 1% of those readers ever click through to the source. So what AI is doing is find me the best home builder. Just making up a question. Find me the best home builder in Denver, Colorado. And it made me give me several links, but only 1% of them are then clicking it. We're just looking for the fast answer. Okay, I know them, or I haven't looked at them. Maybe I'm gonna ask another question. Talk to me about price point. So the buyer is gonna naturally go through what's most important. So some of the top search areas might be best home builders near me, builders near best schools, builder near certain place, cost to build a home, give me the X amount of reviews, right? So one, these are important to know because it's going to go scrape everything in your content strategy, in your reviews, and just everywhere you are showing up. So if you don't know what your universe looks like, you don't know what recipe it's going to make to describe you. So that's super, super important. So we have to understand that we're competing. We're no longer just completing for the click, the engagement. We're We're competing for the answer that AI is going to give. And then all of those other 86 touch points we talked about, it's really becoming a little bit of a psychology play. It's not so much a data play in terms of what my next move is going to be. So it's super important to know how AI is showing up for you, and it's showing up for you different every day because your competition, everybody else is as well. So the confidence shift, today's buyer isn't just slower, they're less confident. Why are they sitting on their hands? Interest rates, we talked about economic uncertainty. There's too many choices out there. All of the builders are fighting for, this is my rate, this is my percentage off. There's no great story out there right now. We've got AI-driven overload. We've got information everywhere for the consumer to consume. So they're thinking, this is what they're all thinking. And I hear this from our OSCs. Am I making the right decision? Should I wait? Can I trust this builder? What am I missing? These are all the kind of subliminal things in someone's head as they're asking those short form questions of AI, but they're not acting on it because something's holding them back. So it's not just about creating, the awareness anymore. That's what we have to realize. Our marketing role is different. So buyer confidence, I think this is super important because as marketers, we have the opportunity to shape what confidence means. We can make the buying decision a different experience. So first, market research. My marketers, if you are not obsessed with understanding your ICP, which is down to their household income, their preferences, where they shop, where they're coming from, why they're buying, all of the life stages, do you service multiple ICPs? You're already losing. Why? That data can now inform your digital buys better. It informs your product, it informs your land buys, which then informs your better marketing story if you're aligned on all of those fronts. Your market research will depict your story, which will depict your delivery, which if it fits your buyer will be a quicker lead to confidence and trust. Your second one is your attention. Earn attention before you're asking the answer. So how are you creating really great creative that's connecting with the buyer, where they are today, where that mindset is, where those gaps are, not just I have a great floor plan, I have a great incentive. It's more than that. We have to dig deeper into the psychology of the buyer right now, the psychology of the needs to get that attention. 3 is education. We have to teach our buyers how to buy. What's the process? It's scary. First time buyer in 2026, way scarier than 10 years ago. What are the steps and how is it always the best time to buy? Nobody knows that answer. We as builders can come up and formulate that answer because it's true. 4, how do we build trust and we remove uncertainty in every step? And building that trust comes from online, how we communicate, but then it's the handoff with sales. We've got to add in that human element. And when they're ready, that's the true trust bridge. 5, how do we nurture? How do we stay present until they're ready and create nurture drip campaigns throughout the process? Because I'm going to talk about what happens when you drop that. We also have buyer experience and making every interaction easier. We've got the speed, how quickly do our OSCs respond, how quickly do our sales counselors respond. If we put AI in for a trigger before a human can get to it, that creates at least a touch point that you've got my information. There's a lot of opportunities to add the speed because we can lose a buyer. Time kills deals, and especially faster online in the digital component. We need to get to that buyer within 24 hours or sooner, sometimes 8 we're seeing. And then finally is measurement. We have so many ways to measure. So we can measure confidence, we can measure intent and readiness in some of those engagement metrics, which I'm going to talk about here in a couple more slides. So let's talk about every gap sends a buyer a message. We have so many opportunities to lose the buyer. So we've got no online sales concierge, right? Means they don't really want my business. If nobody's responding to me or sending me an email, I don't feel like I have an instant on connection. I'm going to feel like they don't really want my business, flat out. Slow lead follow-up can be that same response, but I'm going to hear that I'm just going to keep shopping. They're not really looking at me right now. No nurture campaign. They forgot about me. That happens all the time. A flat static website. I can't picture living here. Nothing's emotionally, evoking emotion for me in the process. No educational content. I'm not ready yet. There's nothing here. You're not throwing me the ball. I'm not catching it. No pricing guidance. I don't know if I can afford this. No way to visualize option. I just can't imagine it. That's where ResVR is going to come in. We're going to talk about that in a minute. and too many forms. This is just taking too much time. There's too much gatekeeping, just not getting enough information.
Jen, I was wondering where do you see that most builders are losing people? What do you think those gaps are?
The biggest place they're losing is with that OSC conversion time to respond. Again, and that's where I am.
Online sales counselor for
Yes.
or concierge.
For those that don't know, sorry, I get into my industry.
She's hardcore into marketing. Can't blame her.
Yeah, definitely that's a spot, and no stickiness on the website. When there's no tools and it's flat, and there's great renderings out there today. I don't see as many of the horrible black and white renderings. There's a lot of options, but if it's just flat, I don't expect 3D. I expect immersion. So that stickiness factor is where we just see people land on a web page and they're out, or they're sending the text message or they're trying to talk with your chatbot and they're not there, they're out. Or they're sending a lead form, you're not getting back to them with instant I see you, they're out. So it's response and stickiness are probably the two biggest spots. That's a great question. So where's the funnel broken? We talked about, I always think about, we've got all these opportunities to come back. We can really go back and forth through what the traditional funnel is, as I fall in and fall out of love with the brand, or I fall in or I fall out of love with wanting to move forward right now. So the traditional funnel, we had awareness, lead, visit, sale, all those great things. But then we moved to where we really need to focus is where we can build that confidence and trust. That is the bridge between the movement of creating awareness to getting them to come in and visit and then to come in to purchase. So marketing, we own creating that confidence long before sales comes in and owns the relationship. We are the first step in the relationship. It's super, super important. It's stronger for building that intent now than it was because of how the digital shift has happened for the buying experience. So that's one, own that. Two, do something about it. Super important. The 4 gaps, 4 places a decision is won or lost. It's won or lost in awareness. We've always been doing that. Do it better. Do it more. 86 touch points. If I can't say that again, I'll say it again. Engagement. How are we engaging and getting the customer to engage? The stickiness, the tools, the interest. Remember, they are self-learning. We are all, as consumers, self-learning before we're moving forward. Selection. Do I understand I have product choice? Customer still wants choice. Can I see those choices? Can I make sure you have the choices I need so I don't feel like I'm going to go waste my time when I come in the sales office? And trust and speed. Are you building trust with me because you're transparent? Because I see price, because I see options, because I can self-serve, and you're fast and you acknowledge me. Those are all the 4 things that make the customer experience better and help the customer with the shift. So what leading builders are doing differently, they're not just building better marketing, we're building a better buying experience, and we're thinking about what this digital sticky universe looks like. So with that, I want to hand it over to Mr. Nathan. And Nathan, I want you to show us, we've got to put this in here because I've got to show where the stickiness is, because this is where we start to build confidence with transparency.
Absolutely. Happy to dive in here. So this is the latest and greatest from the ResVR team. One thing that we've made as a huge improvement is we actually incorporated 360 tour controls. So right now I'm just using my mouse to click through here. So it's really easy to use whether you're on a keyboard mouse setup or just a laptop with a trackpad, and just really helps the buyer engage online, understand what their options are, what these homes look like without needing to go anywhere. And that's really how buyers expect to shop today. It's 24/7 access and having all the information right at their fingertips. So beyond the navigation, we can look at the different structural upgrades, whether this is a basement or exterior or interior upgrades. But here we can showcase, this almost $21,000 upgrade of this outdoor living area, and so much more impactful for a buyer to see this versus seeing the layouts and having to explain it to them. And now they can actually see, okay, you're pouring concrete, you're adding roof line, there's a reason why this is going to cost $21,000 versus if they're looking this as a piece of paper, they're probably not going to see that value. Same thing with like the bedroom configuration here. Like you can see this is your standard bedroom layout, but then I can also upgrade this to an office area. So if I want all my bedrooms upstairs, and that's really important to me and I work from home, well, now I can have this option. But here I can also go inside of the home and I can start customizing the different interior finishes as well. So if I, go down even the tiniest details of changing the door hardware and then changing the finish on the door hardware, so the buyer can really understand like what are their options and what are they looking for in their house. And when they see it, they're going to be like, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. As you can see, all the pricing's included here, and it really is just going to allow the buyer to have like an engaging online experience, just as if they were shopping for a new car. That's the experience that buyers expect today, and that's the experience that we can deliver to them with our technology.
It's so much like test driving a car on the weekend. If we could go on a lot with and the keys were just left in the car and nobody was bothering us. That's how I want to shop for a car, by the way, if someone can figure out how to do that. But this is the same thing, right? Like it's touring the model without the salesperson, and I don't have to leave the comfort of my couch.
Exactly.
And full transparency. So how do we, what about pricing in here, Nathan? Like, how are you seeing builders add in that component?
Yeah, so that's something that we have made accessible through our backend system that we call Studio. Through Studio, what you can do is it gives the builder full control over their system. So beyond options management, which you can do here, you can go in and you could, as an example, see these different appliances. You can see what's standard, what's included, which level or tier that upgrade is. And even if you're, a builder that doesn't want to show pricing, you can actually come into these settings here. You can turn these on or off. So
Yeah,
maybe that really becomes your option of, you have a different version that the client has already signed a purchase agreement. Now they're in the selections process. Now that's actually where you would want to be potentially showing them pricing. But really, we leave it up to the builder to decide how they want to show pricing. And if they are showing pricing, how do you want to break down your monthly payments? It's the same thing that the automotive industry has been super successful in. You don't go into a Dodge Ram dealership and they're like, I want the $89,000 truck. They're going to talk to you about what's your monthly payment. Like, what is your monthly budget for the car? Is it $700? Is it $800? Because then they're going to play with those variables of, do I get you in a 9-year loan or do I get you in a 4-year loan based off of what you're looking for your monthly payment? And it's the same thing here. And, we can track the analytics of what people are doing, which rooms they're in, which upgrades they're preferring. We can also track all of the different customers that are coming into the system. You can sort it by how much they've upgraded. You can sort it by how much time they've spent in the system. And then a new feature we have is you can actually set up your own spec houses now. So you can come in here and you can build a spec house. I'll show you just how easy it is. You can just like pick the model you want, pick the furniture style you want, pick the upgrades, and you can go through here. And then you can publish this in about 30 minutes. It will create a full rendering package, your 360 Matterport tour, your videos, your and your still images, and all of that's ready to publish as soon as you've released that spec to the field. So it's a really great system for builders that are trying to get more specs out into the field. And then you can also adjust this per community, and you can have different specs and standards for different communities. And you can see the analytics for each individual community as well, and maybe get some insight as to why one area is performing better than the other.
That's fantastic. What I love about that is it's giving you all that transparency that the customer wants, but then in turn, it's also giving you all of the the analytics and details that the that the builder will also need as well. So I'm going to go to full screen here.
Yeah, it's definitely a supercharged version of getting so much information about that customer. So when you're actually talking with them for the first time, which model they like, what upgrades they're interested in. You're coming in at a much further state of that contract. So I describe it all the time. Like it's, great comparison of buying a new car versus buying a new home. Like no one goes into a car dealership. It's like, I don't know if I want a truck or a motorcycle or a Toyota Prius. Like people are coming in, they're like, I want the Dodge Red. I'm not a car guy, but I want like the Mercedes Benz in black. And they're like, cool. Like, and I'm here to talk about the pricing. That's it. I know I want that car. So we think that's how buyers expect to shop today. And that's the
Yeah.
experience that we want, builders to be able to offer to their customers through our white labeled solution. So it looks like it's the builder software, and that the customer feels really confident about their purchase. And when they reach out to the sales team, like they're ready to purchase.
I mean, then that's my time on my time. My time is golden. I don't have extra time. I don't have anybody else. I don't have extra time.
Exactly.
That honors my time, and then that actually honors and makes more efficient use of your sales team time. When we have the buyer coming in saying, I want the black Mercedes and I want a lease and blah, 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 whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
So using that as a quick example, home building's a little more complicated, but it is a good analogy. Thank you for showing that. I hope you guys can see how those types of tools are what move the needle. That shows the builder is shifting with the customer and how they want to buy, and that we have to shift our marketing tools. We have to shift our marketing mindset. So old metrics, I think this is super important because everybody's still obsessed with what's your traffic, what's your click-through rate, what's your leads, what's your cost per lead. Yes, those are good to know. Those are baselines. Like we've been doing that since we were born in the industry. Things we have to look at now is how much time is being spent exploring those sticky tools, are adding more time to our website, are spending the time over here versus here. The homes and options viewed, are we giving them enough detail? Is it photorealistic? Are we getting return visits? What's our OSC response speed and buyer readiness at first contact? Those are ways that we can look more at like the psychographic, the emotional, just different trigger points that lead into where maybe those other traditional numbers are moving. So when your leadership team's like, we don't have enough traffic, well, but I see we've got people moving over here. We're going to have some great quick conversions. I'm seeing faster conversions, even like up to the luxury market, where they're coming in and we're thinking it's an 18-month buyer cycle, but we're showing through data that it's 30. And I'm like, that's not really actually 30 because they're doing all of this over here. So we as marketers are scientists, and we have new ways that we need to be looking at the answers to these questions so you can talk intelligently about what actually traffic means today. It's different. So our 5 questions, I'm going to leave you guys with this. I know we're just about time, and maybe we can hang on for another minute if you've got questions, but ask 5 questions of your own buying experience. Snapshot this, or ask us for the presentation, watch it again. Can buyers fully explore their homes on their own? Yes or no? Can they visualize our options and choices? Can they understand pricing without asking? Then we're trying to give them all the answers so that they feel like they're bridging a relationship with us when they get to us. Can they connect emotionally before they ever visit? And does sales begin with an already informed buyer? Maybe your brand doesn't want all these checked. I can also appreciate that. Each builder is unique to his own. But I think these are questions that you need to be answering to see if you are moving with the shift.
100% agree with that, Jen. And the third question, can they understand pricing without asking? Like, that is a huge factor. If one builder's got the pricing, they're fully transparent, they're showing you all the options, and then you go to the next builder and they're not giving you any of that, and they're like, sorry, you got to come talk to us, even just to get going. Like, to the buyer, it's a clear signal of who has invested in the time, the technology, and the processes of, let's help the buyer start shopping online 24 hours a day, rather than needing them to start that process by physically visiting our show home hours, which are only open 5 or 6 hours a day. It's crazy that we're running these businesses in these archaic methods, and it's like buyers are online 24 hours a day. Everyone's shopping online. It's normal now, and it's time that the builders start adopting this technology, because it's actually finally at the right stage where we can show every option, every model, and tie that into the pricing systems.
Yeah. So we'd love to connect with you with ResVR and turn your website into that pre-sales experience. Here is our contact information for Nathan or Carly. She is our head of sales. If you'd want to grab their emails, feel free to reach out them directly. I'm not in sales. I just like to talk about what I love, and I love what ResVR is doing for the customer journey. All right. Well, we'll give everybody the rest of their day back. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, everyone.
That's all.